Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we have a top 8 breakdown for a Battle Spirit Saga pre-launch box event that I hosted last night. It was a lot of fun. It was just kind of a cozy 26-player event, but really just to get some practice before the launch event, as well as just kind of get an idea of what other people are playing in the meta and whatnot, since it's so early into this card game and there's a lot of unknowns and variables. And honestly, it was a fun time, and I really had a good time hosting it. So if you guys want to see some gameplays of it as well, it is on my Twitch, and a big shouts to also George for doing some commentary with me. I couldn't have done it without him, at least not as coherently. It was a lot of fun, and if you guys want me to re-upload it to YouTube, just hit that like and subscribe button. If we get to 50 likes by, I'm going to say Wednesday night, since I do have to get to the event itself, I'll be re-uploading it to YouTube as well. But going on into this, and also this is for my website, Eggman Events, which is linked in the description as well, so if you guys want these deck lists, go there. And I'm also updating this website with Battle Spirit stuff. I should be getting the top 32 from this weekend. I'll be re-uploading it to here as soon as I can, and I've been working really hard on this website, so please consider checking it out. But going into this top 8 breakdown itself and the archetypes, and for this game, since archetypes are a little bit willy-nilly, I'm just doing my best and kind of looking at the card that I think is the big boss monster for it. Some decks have multiple, so it's kind of hard to choose and pick one, so a little bit of that. You can check out all the top 8 decks on these on this website too, but we had 3 purple Curse Dragons, 3 white Elephant controls, 1 red Siegwurm, and 1 yellow Fabled Beast. So really cool to see just like every color get a representation into this top 8. And even in this top 4, we had 1 unique color for each one. So really neat there. Obviously, we had a lot of purple and white. So both of those probably have more variants if you look through the deck list and stuff like that. White specifically was a little bit harder to, just say, you know what, they all have elephant in it, so let's just make it a white elephant kind of archetype. But in general, I think these decks are really nice, and we're going to go into it with the top placing list in each one of the colors, starting off with our first place list. The only red deck in our top 8, this is Caleb Albert's red Siegwurm, and this is a really interesting red Siegwurm list as well. Also, we're only going over the main decks. Side decks are linked on the website as well, but you guys already know we've got Supernova, Dragon, Siegwurm, Nova. Very good card for gaining a lot of protection back, going back up to 5 life, and getting some destructions as well when it has when it attacks. So very, very good card for that, and just kind of getting into it and getting the time and tempo for it is usually kind of the more difficult part for a deck like this, but you'd get to do it very well. And instead of just doing a Star Dragon kind of package, this is really the only Star Dragon. This, and also the obviously we have Dragon Siegwurm, but also the Nebula Dragon Andromeda. So between the 3 of these, this is really the Star Dragon package of it, and we're just using kind of the Nova as like a core to kind of get some advantage and kind of stay alive. But something that's more part of this deck is kind of the Pterosaur package, and mostly just for the Jurassic King Gigano Rex, being able to play this guy early with how it has a double reduction, and also being able to make it level 3 very easily means this has Confront, which means it's great at getting rid of a lot of cards on our opponent's board. And generically, I think white falls pretty hard to how this deck has its removal, and it's really hard for white to kind of interact with it. So I think a lot of people are going to be playing white as more defensive colors, and honestly, I think that those games are going to go to ties a lot of the time too. So being able to have this Jurassic King be able to hit over a lot of their high BP blockers, I think is great. Into the side of this one too, there are 2 more Giganorex as well if needed for more defensive matchups, and I think they've really come in strong. So I think it's a good meta call, and that's why we're also running the Oviraptordon and also the Dinoman Tyrannoid. Both of these being great for not only having high BP, they're also pterosaurs. Also, treat this spirit as level 3 if you only have 2 or fewer spirits on your field. So being able to have this be a 6k on turn 1 is fantastic, and I think that helps the staying power of this card too, especially since it's a little bit trickier to get rid of a 6k as easy in a lot of the colors. So I think that's great. The rest are just kind of generic red cards as well. We do have other pterosaurs with the Blade Dino Parasaur, and it just needs to be an Emperor Beast as well. So since the Blazing Boar is an Emperor Beast, all of these cards contribute to the power of this Giganorex. So really great card to help out some of these tougher matchups for Siegwurm as well. But this is a fantastic card. A lot of decks are just trying to tack it in just in case they get to use the effects, and it really pays off a lot of the time too. So I think red's great, even though it only got 1 top in our top 8. I think it has a lot of power, and if you're any hesitancy of any deck, I think red is an easy one just to kind of sleeve up, try to play, and do well with. So there we go. Here's Caleb's, again, first place list here. Then going into our second place list, I'm going to say this name wrong, but Ayinde. I said it wrong. Apologies again. I said it wrong on stream as well. But using the kind of purple soul control is what I like to call it. It's with the Curse Dragon in general. You just kind of have this purple deck that has a lot of the good cards that are really great at trading value and getting like a good 1-for-1 or sometimes a 1-for-none. And a lot of great value for that as well. So just the idea that this deck can pretty much remove cores from everything most of the time. Dark Bishop Balkus leading up into Infernal Curse Dragon just means that everything gets set to 1 core, and then you use this to remove 1 core from everything, which means it's great. It's a great little combo, and a lot of decks just crumble to it, and then you get a lot of ramp for doing it too, and just a lot of great things for it. So I think in general, purple has a lot of the best cards, at least in terms of value and removal. We have Dark World 7, we have Deadly Balance, we have our ways to remove cores from stuff. Netherworld Depths is such a great card for defense. Just because if your opponent tries to attack you at all, you get to draw cards. And the level 2 effect for this isn't too shabby either. So all these cards are fantastic, and purple's in a really good spot, I think, to be one of the premier, just best colors in this game. It did get 3 spots in this top 8 as well, and I think a lot of people are on this color to the point where people are trying to get out of this purple kind of meta by going into white, which I think white is one of the strongest ways to combat it, especially with all kind of the soul protection it gets and barrier and whatnot. So be careful against purple in the upcoming weeks. I think it's something that if you don't know how their removal works and what to play around and what you can play into, you can get, lose a lot of value by, running into a Deadly Balance when you weren't expecting it. And the Core Thief being able to steal your cores and just kind of everything else with this deck. It's just very strong and very obnoxious at getting something on the board to stick and kind of get some value from there as well. So congrats again to Ayinde for their finish with this purple deck. And next up we have Caleb Van Patten with this white elephant control. All of the decks pretty much had, again, the Mech Beast Fortress Elephant, and so that's why I just named it all for it. It's a pretty nice card when it goes off. Just says, when destroyed by opponent, you get to draw 3 and place 3 cores from your void into your reserve. So being able to use this to get some card draw and some ramp is great. The only thing is it's kind of difficult to persuade your opponent to get, the destruction on this thing, especially since, like, worst case, it's a 7K, which is honestly pretty chunky for what it is, but if you are able to get the destruction on it in some way, it gets a lot of value from it, and it can be very strong to switch the tempo back to you, right? So I think that's really great. This deck is really defensive, including the Armored Dragonship Enterprise. This is the go into time card. It's just so good at just sitting there and doing nothing, and all your cards have protection if it's a level 4, and if that's the case, then your opponent can't remove anything, which means they don't want to attack, which just means like you're just sitting back and forth until one of you decides just to start attacking and lose, right? Like it's kind of rough for this card in the sense that, again, this just makes games go way longer than they probably should. You get some weird board states because of it, but it's great protection, and even we see people tech into other decks, as we'll see in a little bit. So I think this is a great card as well, and you got to respect it. And especially like against purple, if you have this card and then also the head Ice Maid Fulla, and you have the Soul Core on the Armored Dragon Ship, like purple really can't do a lot to get rid of these two if they're just sitting out there. And you have to find some other things because this has armor, and then this also can't get its cores removed, and this can't either because between the two of them. So it's a really deadly combination that you have to be wary of and have a way to get out of if they end up doing that. So very, very good there for a kind of purple counter there. And there's kind of everything else. We also have the Divine Moonsky Beast Fan Attack Elk, and it did have a ruling update, and there's a bunch of other ruling updates. There's an FAQ. I'll post the link to it in the description as well if you guys are curious. But with this one specifically, it has a ruling where when this end of opponent's turn, if you didn't lose a life this turn, place 1 core from your opponent's life into their trash. And so this technically, this is how this works, and this is probably going to be how it works in Vegas because I don't think they're going to switch it. But what it does for this effect is it looks at how much life you had at the beginning of the turn and how much life you have at the end of the turn. So if you have 3 life, you go down to 2, and then you use, for example, Absolute Ice Shield to go back up to 3 and end the turn. Fanatec will say, well, I'm at 3 life still, so I will get to do a burn damage. That is how it's ruled. The wording does not suggest that at all, but that is how it's going to happen. So because of that ruling update, that means that this card does have potential to actually push for some damage, which traditionally white has a little bit of an issue doing. So if you're able to, play this and establish it, and then just have this with the Enterprise and with the Fola and everything, you can just do 1 damage passively every turn and kind of have a way for a win condition, which is great. So do be wary of that kind of tech there and that the meaning of this, and you'll be, I don't know, I think a lot of people are going to be trying this now that is how this is ruled. So anyways, congrats to Caleb on their finish there. And finally, our 4th place list, this is Admassu Williams with this, I'm going to call it Yellow Fabled Beast. It's got a little bit of everything. We've got some yellow, we got some purple, we got some white, we got some red. We got all 4 colors in this one, and it's a really interesting list, including the fact that this list is at 60 cards, which is a little bit high. It's you got to make a list between 50 and 60, but it's a very, 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 very heavy card draw list in this one too at times. So it starts off with the Phantasmal Paradise. During your main step, when you summon a Fabled Beast Spirit, you may exhaust its nexus to draw a card. So you can use it on a lot of these Fabled Beasts. So like the Flying Turtle, the Behemoth, and also the Kate Sith, the Albatross, and also just those. So not a lot of cards into it, but being able to do that is nice. And also being able to get that cycle with it is nice. The Flying Turtle is probably one of the best because if it's you get to find a Fabled Beast if you can and try to find it. And just kind of everything else with this. This is also a Fabled Beast, the Hippocampo. Again, shoutouts to George. Best card in the game. Has this blast ability. If early game, if your opponent doesn't have any defense, you just attack with this, and then you gain a life. So that's kind of nice. If you do damage with it, gains a life. Sometimes it comes up. It's really from our stream this weekend. It came up a lot, which is really funny. But yeah, you're just taking a lot of stuff in this deck. We have the 2 of the mech beasts. You have also the Armored Dragon Ship Enterprise to protect a lot of your smaller dudes as well. Core Thief for removal, Burning Force for Nexus removal, which is really important. And then we also have this God Beast Behemoth. So when some of this card is spirit from your hand, you may use the symbols of any spirit cards in your trash that cost 2 in addition to the symbols on your field. So this just means that this gets pretty cheap very, very quickly because you're looking at your 2 costs in there. And then also when the spirit attacks, your spirit that costs 2 cannot be blocked by your opponent's spirits that are level 2 or higher during this turn. It just means that if they are able to, if they have a bunch of level 2s and 3s out, they just can't block it. And it could be just mean like you're able to attack for game because of it too. So all of that's very, very good. Blessed Cathedral is a pretty bonkers card too. It gains you cores, it gains you draw as well. So you do have to be careful on that guy and just everything else. Yellow's a really weird color right now. It kind of doesn't have a really solid identity, but I think this is an interesting deck. It was very, very difficult to end the game against this one, which is interesting for what it is, and it was fun to watch this one. I'm happy that we also got some yellow, because I don't traditionally see as much yellow in these top breakdowns either. So, but that is going to be it for this video. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. Make sure to check out Eggman Events, linked in the description, if you want to see all the deck lists for this. Again, if you're going to be in Las Vegas, please let me know, because I would like to say hi and see what you guys are thinking about this game. And I'm really excited to be there, and I think it should be a lot of fun. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll catch you all next time.